Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to show you how to recolor items for The Sims 2, and I'm only going to be showing you how to recolor a CC item as opposed to a Maxis item, something that you would find in base game or that came with an expansion pack. But I'm going to show you the directory of the Maxis items so that in case you do want to recolor something there, you know how to find it. But yeah, this video is basically just going to be custom content. So what you're going to need in order to recolor items for The Sims 2 is SimPE and some sort of semi-advanced photo editing program or software. I don't think Paint would work, but I would say it has to be, it doesn't have to be Photoshop, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but like you just have to be able to recolor items. Now, another thing I want to mention is I'm not going to be showing you how to recolor an item in this photo editing software. Like, I'm not going to show you the ins and outs of like making a mesh file a different color, and I'm not going to do that in this video because otherwise it'll take a while. However, if you do want a tutorial about that, like a separate one, I can do that. Just let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can get to that for you. But in this video, we're only going to focus specifically on making a recolored item and basically just using it in game. So again, you're going to need some kind of photo editing software. I use Photoshop CC. You can also use GIMP. GIMP is free to download. You just have to type in GIMP in Google or Yahoo search and it should come up. But I am using Photoshop CC, and you are also going to need SimPE, which is the software that we are using to recolor our items. Another thing you're going to need is the actual custom content that you want to recolor. So I'm going to be recoloring the bakery set from Veranka Downloads on Tumblr. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be recoloring today. And in order for you to download SimPE, you can find that on sourceforge.net/projects/SimPE. And this is where I ended up downloading my SimPE. So it should work for you. I'm going to link this down in the description. One thing you have to keep in mind when you do recolors of CC items is that there are some creators who do not want you to recolor their items and share them publicly with other simmers. You have to check their terms of use. For example, Veranka has a terms of use link right here, and I did read it, and recoloring their items is fine. There are other terms there, but I am only doing this for personal usage, so no one else is going to be seeing these, no one else is going to be using these. It's only for me and my game. So no, I'm not going to be sharing these, unfortunately. If you'd like me to make a shareable version, then maybe I will. We'll see, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just going to be recoloring these in various different colors for my own game. So you want to just make sure that you check the creator's terms of use, just in case, like if you want to make recolors in order to share it with other people, you want to just make sure that that's okay with the actual creator. And yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to recoloring items with SimPE is you always want to make sure that you are recoloring the mesh file of whatever it is, whatever CC you're looking to recolor. So it has to be either the mesh file or it has to be the master file. I myself get a little confused with this because I'm kind of new to recoloring. I've been recoloring items in Sims 2 for about a month now. It hasn't been very long, to be honest. I'm still even like learning new things. But I've noticed that when I do recolors, I sometimes don't get the subset selection window come up, and I'm going to explain what that is in a minute. And then sometimes I just don't get any sort of texture image coming up. And that's usually because I either did not recolor the mesh and I recolored another recolor, for example, or I didn't recolor the master file. Another thing that happens is when you don't recolor the master file, when you open up the game, let's say you have a window set that you want to recolor, and there's one called master and there's one called mesh. So let's say you recolor that mesh. Sometimes when you go in game, you think, okay, my recolor should be good, but then they start glitching and the mesh color and the color that you recolored it to, let's say the color you chose was pink, the mesh color is green, that green and pink start to like coexist. I don't even know. It does a weird thing. They kind of just mesh together and like one just fades into the other. And that's because you recolored the mesh file, but not the actual master file because of the way the CC was saved by the creator. And so those are just some things to keep in mind. It can be a bit of a learning process, but once you know the basics, which is what I'm going to be showing you in this video, it should be fairly simple to figure out. So this is what I'm going to be recoloring. And another thing that you should do for the sake of preparation and like ease is I would, in your documents folder or on your desktop or in your pictures, make a separate folder titled My Recolors or Recolors or whatever. And then within that folder, I would add something along the lines of what you're recoloring. So like I would add in bakery windows or shop windows or, you know, even the name of the mesh file windows. So like in my recolors, I have a folder in my documents titled Recolors, and then here I have 2 subfolders with different swatches and things that I'm working on. And that way you have like an actual place to put these recolored images. Another thing I would recommend is in your downloads folder where all your CC goes, either create a subfolder. I have one here called Recolors. So create a subfolder or throw it where your mesh file is, but just make some place, like designate some area in your downloads folder to throw these new packaged recolors, okay? So that's another thing I would recommend. I have one here in build mode MISC, and here is the master file that I'm going to be recoloring. And all of the recolored packages are going to go in this folder titled Recolors. So now let's get started. So I actually don't remember what SimPE looks like when you first install it because, as I've said, I've been using it for about a month now, but it should look something similar to this. If you do not have this part down here, that's just a quick fix. If you look down on the left-hand corner, you will see these tabs with different names, details, finder, hex, etc. You want to use Object Workshop, or you want to see, I should say, Object Workshop and Plugin View. If you don't have those 2 tabs, all you do is you go to Window up here, and then you click on Plugin View and Object Workshop, and they should come up. So once you have Object Workshop and Plugin View come up, you're pretty much ready to recolor. So in order to find Maxis items, as in not CC items, you go to Start, and then this is what you will see. And then over here on the left-hand corner is a button called Catalog. So you're just going to click on that, and here are all of the Maxis items in your game. I'm not going to be recoloring any Maxis stuff, so I'm just going to click on Start Over, and Start Over brings us all the way back to the very beginning of the Object Workshop page. And then I'm going to click Open, which is what is going to open your CC items. So now I'm going to navigate to the mesh file, or the master file that I'm wanting to recolor. And in my case, it is the Bakery Build Master by Veranka. So I'm just going to open this. Now you get this screen, and you get a drop-down menu here that says Recolor and Clone. We want to recolor, and then to the right here, you click Start. Now what SimPE is asking you is basically, what do you want to name this new packaged recolor? And I always name it after the color that the recolor is going to be, and I'll tell you why. The reason I choose the colors is because it's easier for me to go back and delete or edit whatever color it is that I have an issue with. So let's say I recolored this window a pink color. And then for some reason in game, it just turns up really, really neon pink. And I'm thinking, no, I don't like that. Let me just dull it down. So all I have to do is go back into my recolors file and look for the color pink. So Veranka Bakery Build Pink, for example. And then I can just go ahead and edit that or just delete that package file. And that's that. It's more difficult when you make recolors and you title it something Recolor 1, Recolor 2, Recolor 3, because you don't know whether or not you're going to like that color in game. It might be that you don't like that color and you want it to look different. And I feel like, especially if you're just starting with recolors, if you're not very advanced with recoloring items and you don't really know how things work, I would definitely recommend doing the colors. And honestly, if you're also going to be doing recolors to share it with other people, it's also easier for other people to say, hey, I don't like the color green for whatever reason, so I'm just going to delete the green recolors, for example. So yeah, I would definitely recommend going after colors. So now I'm going to go into my recolors folder, and I'm just going to title this RC_white. And the reason I chose white is because white is the first color I'm going to be doing with these recolored packages. So recolor_white, make sure it's package, and then I'm going to click save. And this is your subset selection. So this is what I was talking about earlier. So your subset selection basically shows you the different elements of the image or the item that you're trying to recolor. So if you've got a window, for example, it could be that it comes with a frame and then the glass, for example. So then you would choose, do I want to recolor just the frame or do I want to recolor the glass? In this case, do I want to just recolor the wood or do I want to recolor the metal? And for me, I want to recolor both. So I'm going to keep both of them checked. So if you don't want to recolor the metal, you would uncheck that, for example, but I want both. So I'm going to check them both and then click OK. Sometimes when there's only one element to an item, you don't get the subset selection window. You only just you're like taken directly to here. This is your resource tree on the left here, and on the right is your resource list. So sometimes a subset selection window doesn't come up. You just go directly to your resource tree and your resource list. And then sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, you don't get anything showing up in your resource tree and your resource list. And the reason for this is because you're not recoloring the mesh or the master file, and it's just not showing up. So you're going to have to find the mesh or the master file. There are some CC items, I have read this in some forum, but there are CC items that you don't get the subset selection window and you don't get any of this information here because the creator just doesn't want you to recolor their item. That can also happen, in which case you're just going to have to suck it up and move on to the next item, you know? But I haven't encountered that yet. So what you're going to want to do is, we're still in object workshop down here, right? You want to go to texture image under your resource tree. And now you're going to see these two things, right? So if you look here, it says _wood and then _metal. So those are the two images that you chose in your subset selection window earlier. So now we're going to move to our plugin view tab down here on the left. And then click on whatever you want to recolor first. I'm going to go ahead and recolor the wood first. And now remember what we named this package file. This package file is called RC_white, which means we want to recolor the wooden part white. So what you do is you are going to export this image, because what you want to do pretty much is you want to take this picture out of SimPE so that you can open it in GIMP or Photoshop or whatever photo editing software you have, edit it in that editing software program, and then import that edited photo back into SimPE to replace this one. So again, this one is the white package. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll just move this. So right here, rc_white.package. So I'm going to look for my white recolor. So first, what you're going to do is you want to take this one out, right? So we're just going to export this, and you can call this whatever you want, mesh, you know, white mesh, whatever image name you want. For the sake of this video, we're just going to keep the original image name and click save. So here is our mesh file that we saved. As you can see, I saved it in my downloads. I did not mean to do that. I meant to save that in one of my subfolders in my documents recolor folder. So I'm going to just make a new folder and title it video tutorial so that we can separate it from everything else. And now I'm just going to drag that and we're going to pretend it was there all along. So yeah, so now in our documents recolors folder and our subfolder, we have the mesh file that we now have as a PNG file on our computer. And then this is when you would open up Photoshop and recolor that to whatever color you want. But for the sake of this video, we are recoloring it to white. So I actually already did this. These are all the recolors I'm going to be throwing into my game with this bakery set. So here's the mesh file, and then here is the white one that I created. I already did this like 2 hours ago, so I'm going to go ahead and import this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that you've already recolored the file the way you want it to be. It's a nice white color, and now we're going to import it back into SimPE. So if it wasn't already obvious, you would go ahead and click import. And here is the bakery window in white. And there's our white one. So now if this was only one texture image, these are your texture images here. If there was only one that you were recoloring, you would go ahead and click commit. Changes were committed. And then you would click save package, and then that would be that, and then you would be finished. But because we have two texture images, I'm gonna go ahead and click on the metal one now. So our wood one is all set. Now we're going to look for the white metal texture image that I've already recolored, this one here, and I'm gonna click open, and then I'm gonna click commit. Changes were committed, okay. So now I've got the metal in white and the wood in white for my RC_white package, okay? So now that those are both finished, I can click on save package, and then that's that. So now your package is pretty much all set and ready to go. But I'm doing multiple different colors, so I find that the easiest way to do that is once you're done with the first one, you click on create new package up here on the top left corner, and then you would click on object workshop again. And now we're pretty much going to do the same thing. There are two options up here, previous and start over. I would not click on start over because you are already working with this particular window master mesh. So I would click on previous. You can click on start over, but what that does is it's going to bring you all the way back to the original window where you have to go back into your downloads and shuffle through your CC and see where the mesh is again. But to make it easier on myself, I just click on previous. And then in the drop-down menu, again, just double check that it's on recolor and click start. And now basically the exact same thing. So I'm going back to my downloads, build mode misc, recolors. Here is the white one that I recolored. So now the next one I'm gonna do is a black one. And just to make it less work for myself, I'm always looking to make it as easy as possible. I just click one time on that file, and then I switch out the word white. And then I'll type in black. Make sure it's a package and then save. Now you can obviously type in whatever color it is. If it was black, you would delete the word black and type in pink or whatever color. And again, I want to recolor both the wood and the metal. So I'm gonna click OK. And then I'm gonna go back into my plugin view. And then I'm gonna click under resource tree texture image. You're just doing exactly the same thing that I showed you previously. And now we're going to click on wood, and we are going to import the black recolor of this image. So here I have the wooden recolor in black. So I'm just going to open that. And then I'm going to click commit. changes were committed, okay. I'm not clicking save yet because I have to do the metal one. So I click on metal and then I import the metal recolor in black, metal mesh black, and then open that one. And then I commit that one as well. And now that our wood and our metal is black, I save the package. And then I once again create a new package. And then once again, I go back to Object Workshop. And again, I click Previous, make sure it's on Recolor, click Start. And you're gonna do the exact same thing over and over and over again until you get into this flow, right? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and just make all of these recolors. And then we're gonna load up the game and see what we find. Okay, so I finished doing all of my recolors. That took me about 15 minutes, I would say, to do all of them. And I am going to keep SimPE open. You can go ahead and click start over and close it, or just close it, or whatever you want to do. But I would recommend just clicking on previous and making sure that you're back on recolor, and then just minimizing it, because as I've mentioned before, it might be that you don't like a color or that you want to change a color. And so you want to replace that file. So I would recommend just minimizing it, and yeah. And then here are all of my recolors. So build mode, miscellaneous, recolors. I have all of the colors here: black, blue, blush, burgundy, emerald, green, etc. And now I'm going to open up my game and see if it worked. Okay, so I'm here on this random lot, and I've got a wall here so that we can throw up these recolors. And because I recolored the master file, it should be that all of the bakery items have these colors that I used, but we'll find out, because you never know. Sometimes things just like don't work for some reason, and yeah. So we're just gonna throw this window here, and throw this window here. This one, no, where's the single tile? That one. And then let's do the door. This door here. Okay. So let's see if we've got these recolors. Okay, so it looks like we've got them in here actually. I'm seeing all the colors that I created. So here's the blue one. Wow, that actually came out better than I expected. There's the blue one. Let's do yellow, burgundy or red or whatever color that is. Nice turquoise. We can do the pretty lilac color. And yeah. So all of my recolors are working, nothing is glitching, everything's fine, and that is pretty much it. That's how you do recolors in Sims 2. If you have any questions or if you run into any issues, leave them down as a comment below. I can't guarantee that I have the answers because, again, I've only been recoloring items for a month, but if I do have the answers, I will obviously see if I can help you out. But other than that, that's all there is to it. That's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy these sorts of tutorials, this kind of content, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you all in the next one.